Okay, now I want to briefly discuss the ideology of the two main secret societies, the Illuminati and the Freemasons. I would also like to briefly discuss their history and if they are actually devil worshippers.
Does this mean the Freemasons are a religion unto themselves? Their religious trappings have inspired opponents, from those who accuse them of heresy to those who claim they are in league with Satan himself.
And in the New World Order. Really? I'm getting presents in the New World Order!
The New World Order, the New World Order, the destiny of the New World Order will be fulfilled.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a New World Order, and instead it looks like we got a lot of disorder. Instead, and after 9/11, we've been more sensitive.
Can it truly be said that these create a new world order? Can it really be said that we're building a new world order when it's almost exclusively the United States who will be fighting in the desert?
So, my research has revealed that Masons believe in a God without the boundaries of religion, and they refer to him as the great architect of the universe. They believe in a self-trinity of improving the mind, body, and the spirit to achieve enlightenment. They participate in ancient mystery school rituals. One of their sayings is, as above, so below, and that's a common theme to the Baphomet, which we're going to get here in a second. And if you'll think of the Our Father prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. On earth below as it is in heaven above. Interesting, no? Anyway, what else do they believe? In fact, Time Magazine did a special, which I'm going to show you in a second here. Time Magazine states that Time would like to report that Masons do indeed exert surprising sway over the American political landscape. Interesting indeed, no? Because about a third of the presidents were Freemasons, a few of them were from the Skull and Bones Society, a majority of them attend Bilderberg meetings, as well as the Bohemia Club in California. So, you know, these coincidences are starting to stack up, and they just seem a little bit too much to be a coincidence.
George Washington, a Freemason, he would not be the last.
In the United States, 14 of our presidents have been Freemasons.
They include Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Gerald Ford, and Harry Truman, a Masonic Grand Master, and the man who established the UN and the CIA. Some say this is coincidence, but others claim it's evidence of a shadow government controlled by the Freemasons. Their members have played a dominant role in business, science, literature, and politics. From Napoleon Bonaparte to Winston Churchill to King Edward VIII. Even as Mozart composed his Masonic opera, The Magic Flute, a French physician named Guillotine invented a killing machine that symbolized the French Revolution, which some claim the Masons started. As the Wright brothers took flight, Masons named Chrysler, Olds, and Ford established the auto industry. Colt and Gatling modernized war's most terrible weapons. And Freemasons took control of the movies, led by Louis B. Mayer at MGM, Jack Warner at Warner Brothers, and Daryl Zanuck at 20th Century Fox. Masonic superstars include Clark Gable and John Wayne, Harry Houdini and Mel Blanc, the voice of Bugs Bunny, Abbott, but not Costello. Sports heroes like Ty Cobb and Arnold Palmer, even famous names like Buzz Aldrin, and Wendy's founder, Dave Thomas.
Also, Time also said Benjamin Franklin joined a Philadelphia lodge and while in France guided Voltaire. I used to love Voltaire. He's a French philosopher, and I got a bunch of quotes on my Facebook page from him. And anyway, he was said to have guided Voltaire through the ancient mystery schools. In fact, many highly prominent Enlightenment thinkers have been members of secret societies, including George Washington, Isaac Newton, Leonardo da Vinci, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and Voltaire.
The British government feared the power of these societies, and the power represented by one iconic figure in particular. The man whose face still adorns the dollar bill, the first president of the United States, George Washington.
33 of his generals, 33 of them, were Freemasons. They knew how to keep secrets, and they were totally dedicated to the cause, ready to give their lives, and they did.
But history is filled with examples of leaders becoming more than mere mortals in the public's eye.
Well, there was a long-standing tendency to make your heroes into gods, so this wasn't anything new. There were other world heroes that became gods. You know, attempts had been made to make Alexander the Great a god or any of these other famous people.
So perhaps the painting merely drives home Washington's godlike reputation among Americans at the time. But the same can't be said for the artist's subjects surrounding him.
He's accompanied by 13 virgins, and of course there's the tale behind that because the artist Bermudi actually went out and found ladies of the evening to pose for his virgins.
Dan Brown's professor left that part out of his story. But Brown's Professor Langdon does speak of another controversial work of art that held court in the Rotunda. A half-naked sculpture of George Washington as the Greek god Zeus. It's true.
It implies that Washington held this very, very special role in American society. And every time the other founders had their backs up against the wall and one person had to be picked as the leader of all the leaders, it was George Washington. And the people of America knew that. And there's never been a president who was as beloved by more people in America than George Washington. And one newspaper man once wrote an article that if George Washington runs for president, he'll get every vote. And he didn't mean every electoral vote. He meant every single vote from every single American.
So perhaps George Washington was godlike then. Why a Greek god? Why was he bare-chested?
Many secret societies are intertwined, like I was saying, the Knights Templar. Isaac Newton and Da Vinci were said to be Grand Masters of the Priory of Sion, which was connected to the Knights Templar, which was connected to the Freemasons and the building of Solomon's Temple.
The story of Hiram Abiff suggests that the Masons go far back in history to the designers of the Temple of Jerusalem. Some push it back even further to the very founders of civilization. The story is based on a biblical account found in the Book of Kings. King Solomon built the temple to God in Jerusalem. His top architect was Hiram Abiff, seen here in the costume beard. Legend says he was an ancient Freemason. Hiram Abiff knew the secret password of the Master Mason, but as the temple neared completion, he was confronted by 3 lesser stoneworkers who wanted to learn the secret password. A word that would grant them wisdom and power.
Would you give me the secret word of the Master Mason? I cannot.
Each one threatened Hiram Abiff with death unless he gave up the secret, but Hiram refused.
Wait until the temple is completed, then die.
For that, he was killed with the tools of the Freemasons' trade. A death toll sounds, and Hiram's body is removed from the stage.
When you act out the role of Hiram Abiff, it's the most dramatic way of learning what your deepest fears are.
The 3 assassins plant an acacia tree over the grave. Then they try to board a ship to flee the realm, but they have no permission to leave. Meanwhile, Solomon learns that Hiram is missing, and he orders his men to search for the architect.
The temple and see if he cannot be found.
Sometime later, the killers are found and are brought to the king of Tyre. All three admit their guilt, and the king orders their execution. Later, Hiram's death is confirmed when his pendant is discovered. And when his body is found, it is carried off to a proper burial. King Solomon then establishes a new word, one that no Freemason will ever speak in public. This word is the passkey to the third degree, one of the Masons' most tightly held secrets.
That secret word is only, however, a substitute for the true pronunciation and understanding of the Tetragrammaton, or Yod-He-Vav-He, or YHVH. Only a substitute. And that word is Mahabon, and which I believe is a corruption of the Hebrew Mahaboneh, which can be translated, what? Is this the builder? And Hiram, of course, was a builder. My name is Stephen Tsoukalos, and I'm not a Mason.